All right, Wild Ute back with me here talking about this new look Utah offense. So before we talk about what the future is going to hold, unfortunately, I have to relive a little bit of the past and talk about just how I know it's painful. So 23 points per game last year, overall under 300 points on the season, 31 total touchdowns for Utah. And I mean, yeah, it was tough. Watching this offense at times was really hard, right? 130 rushing yards per game. And even the passing yards were a little misleading, I'll also say, because they ended up throwing for 199 passing yards per game, but there were so many gotta have it throws and moments that weren't there. So when we can once again talk about what this offense will look like in 2025, I do expect it to continue to be based around the run game, but now, like we said, it can be based around the quarterback run game because you have a guy in Dampier who defenses have to respect. Their top priority is going to be stopping Dampier. And Dampier is such a far cry from Isaac Wilson in many ways, but especially his comfort with pressure in his face. He's willing to make the gutsy throws across his body. And yes, he'll make a mistake or two, but he's the type of player that can make up for that mistake. So expect Utah to continue to run the ball a lot. And the triple threat that is going to be, or just the double threat, I'll even just say, of Dampier and whatever running back is, you will have Dampier ran for over 1,000 yards last year. So at all times, there will be two elite runners of the football in Utah's backfield. And that is going to be really tough for defenses in the Big 12 to stop.
It's so exciting having this new offense. It really is. And Dampier at the helm with Jason Beck. This is a spread offense, guys. It's different than Andy Ludwig's offense. It's not going to be 12 personnel. It's not going to be two tight ends. And that's why we've seen some of these tight end transfers, I think. With Carson Ryan leaving recently and stuff, I mean, the offense is changing. It's not going to be so tight end heavy. It's going to be more quarterback run friendly, a little bit more go route type from the on the ends too. So it's a different scheme. It's easier to learn and everything, and it's a modern college football set. Guys, Jason Beck is a dang good hire. Like, he knows recruiting grounds in Utah. I get it. He's a BYU guy, ex-BYU player. He was on the Bronco Mendenhall staff and everything. We just need to get over that. We just need a guy that comes in and gets results and knows how to recruit these territories. He knows what to do to score points. This is a perfect hire for Utah. It probably wasn't going to get better no matter if you had Arbuckle or Mac Leftwich and stuff. This guy knows how to get it done. He's more experienced. He knows the recruiting grounds. He knows exactly what to build to score points. And so I'm really optimistic about this offense, but it's going to be much, much more explosive than last year too, just because the quarterback run game is there. And expect to see more portal wide receivers coming in. We need wide receivers now, and we need to fill it up with running backs too. So that's going to be the main priority now. And again, look for those New Mexico transfers.
Yeah, and it's funny, too, when you hear everyone who is, and look, I understand a little bit. He played at BYU, but at the end of the day, two things. Number one, what I care about, are you good at your job? And Jason Beck is fantastic at his job. And I know Arbuckle and Leftwich were the top two choices. Doesn't mean Beck can't end up being the best one. He led a better offense statistically just last season. Also, how many great Utah players and coaches, just like our head coach who's coming back for another year, have BYU ties? So like the fact that we're like all wrapped up in like, oh, he came from BYU. No. Is he good at the job? That's what matters. Jason Beck has proven he's good at the job. He's proven he's worthy of this elevation, and I can't wait to see what he gets to do with this offense. So they will be run heavy, and I like that you mentioned Dampier he's a fun player, not just because of the arm, but not just because of the legs, but the arm. I mean, he will let it fly out there, and defenses are gonna have to put extra defenders in the box to try and contain Dampier. So that will open up one-on-one shots downfield. So that's where I'm excited to see the talent that Utah brings at wide receiver. You're going to get a lot of one-on-one opportunities. So there should be more shots and opportunities available. And look, the Utah offense last year was, as we said, dreadful at times. This is an offense that, I mean, they lost 7 of their final 8 games because of the offense's inability. Only once during that losing streak did they cross 25 points, and that was against Iowa State at home. I expect Utah, they average 23 points per game. I think Utah's going to average 30 points per game next year. I do. I just think Devon Dampier's legs, will they also turn it over a little bit more? Maybe put the defense in a few of a bind? Potentially. I mean, Wilson threw a ton of interceptions too, right?
Yeah, JT, we had a lot of interceptions this year. I mean, like, seriously, how much worse could it get?
I know.
Like how much worse could it get? Like, it's not going to get worse and everything. We need to evolve.
I think Dampier, it'll be interesting to see, like, how do Dampier's improvements in his play versus consistently facing better secondaries, what does that lead to interception wise? I'm very curious. I think it's likely he throws double-digit interceptions. Maybe he doesn't, and that would be fantastic. But either way, he has the athletic ability to get those points back too. So I'm excited to see the shots that he can take one-on-one downfield. And once again, when you have a quarterback like Devon Dampier, the defense can have everything mapped out. Okay, we got this coverage planned out. We're going to contain him. Oh, he got out of it. Devon Dampier ran for a first down. A quarterback who can scramble, run, and just make plays like that can cripple a defense.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. I expect a lot of points. I think you nailed it with that 30 points per game. I mean, he's been posting it. Like, New Mexico's not a JUCO college, guys. That's a Mountain West school. Like, check this out. Dampier beat a ranked team this year in, I believe, Washington State.
Yes, he did.
New Mexico hadn't won a ranked game in like 20 or 30 years. Like, this guy's no slouch at all. Like, seriously, people that think that getting a Mountain West transfer is like a JUCO player is crazy. Like, Indiana built a whole roster this year that got to the college football playoff based on the same type of philosophy, guys. Kirk Cignetti at Indiana, he brought in a bunch of his former players from Georgia Southern. So, like, this is proven. This is working right now in college football, and this is going to work, especially if you get more of this New Mexico crew and everything. And you just have to be more dynamic in the Big 12. You have to have that quarterback run game if you're going to score points. We know it gives trouble. I mean, look down south in Provo and stuff. The way to beat the Cougars is a run game, quarterback run game. That really is a lot of Big 12 defenses. That's how you have to attack them. You have to evolve. We're not in the Pac-12 anymore. We can't play the same type of offensive game. We're evolving. We're going to score points next year. It's a different time in Utah. And it's really exciting, actually. It's exciting. Incredible. We're back. It feels like we're back. We're back, baby.
I'm thinking we're back. It just feels different when you have a type of dynamic play like Devon Dampier, who we are excited about because what he's done at the college level. It's so much different than Isaac Wilson, who has to, even Brandon Rose too, right? And Brandon Rose had nice moments against BYU, but like he had to learn his first college snaps on the fly. Devon Dampier started every game last year and had even experience going back the year before. So this guy's gotten the reps. He's ready to take that next step. He's done it, made plays against SEC defenses. He made plays against Arizona last year. They had over 30 points. This is an Arizona State offense. They scored over, this is a New Mexico offense. I know they finished the season 5-7. They had over 30 points in 8 games on the year. It was much more frequent that the defense let them down than the offense. And Dampier, even a guy, like he ended the season, yes, a couple of the turnovers we talked about, but in his final 3 games, he did not throw an interception. And in his final 2 games, he had 6 rushing touchdowns. So you're talking about a dual threat guy. And for anyone who's pushing back on like, how can one quarterback, how can you be this high on this guy that all of a sudden you'll be a Big 12 contender next year? Well, number one, every game that Utah played last year was a game in the fourth quarter. Even the Colorado one, when Wilson threw that interception on the sideline, Utah was right there and in it. And when we look at his experience in play, I feel good about it. I'd be curious to ask any BYU fans this who say, how can you feel good about this guy? At this time last year, did you feel good about Jake Retzloff being your quarterback? No. This is a BYU team that was projected to win 4.5 games and just competed in the Big 12 title. And if you look at what Dampier did last year, it's easy to project Utah being towards the top of the conference next year if things go to their plan.
And you mentioned something, Brandon Rose. So Brandon Rose is the quarterback that we should really consider going after and bringing back to the program.
Bring back, okay.
Like, talk about a Jason Beck guy. Like Brandon Rose is more dual threat. He's got an arm. Like he fits that prototype so dang well. He was the only quarterback in the room last year that fits it. So I think now that you have Dampier in the quarterback room, bring Brandon Rose back. Bring him. He's got to be a huge priority because we know quarterback injuries happen. We know that really well. So Brandon Rose, I think, is a huge focal area. If you can bring him back to Utah, would be a huge win to fill up that quarterback room with the new recruits coming in and everything. So it's really exciting. Again, we haven't even touched on the offensive line with all these returning offensive linemen. Like seriously, this like Dampier, like with this line coming back, if we get more weaponry on the outside, which we'll get in the portal and everything, this is going to be the best line he's ever played in back of in his whole life. With his running ability, we can do some really fun stuff this next year. And it's just it's a cause for optimism because really for about 3 months, it's been really tough in Ute land. It's been tough based on the season and everything, who transferred out. But this is a huge new change of guard right here. And I think that the Utes really, the hope's coming back, the fan base.
It absolutely is.